All right, in this video, we're going to take a look at a very common scenario where our line of business has given us maybe a CSV or a spreadsheet of information that we need in IT need to do something with. In this particular example, we've got a list of IDs here, and we've got a list of priorities. And they want us to create a filter that will help them understand if they're prioritizing the right thing in our application. Specifically, that's our input that you see here. And our output is going to be actually a calculation that we can put in Oracle Analytics Cloud to filter through all the different IDs based on priority. So this is kind of our output here, which will be tons more numbers. And so how do we do this really quickly inside Oracle Apex? Well, to start with, let's go into SQL Workshop, and we're going to go over to Utilities and into our Data Workshop. One of the nice things about the Data Workshop is you can grab and throw data in, kind of use it as you need to, and then blow it away. So I'm going to go ahead in here, and I'm going to select that CSV file, or that spreadsheet that we just looked at. It'll actually profile it for us here. You can see at the bottom. We're going to go ahead and give it a name. Let me make sure I spell correctly. Right here. All right. Go ahead and we'll call it account priority. I'm going to hit preview right here. This will pop up this little tag for configuration. And now we can see our exact column names. We can change the types or the links or what have you. I find it's actually pretty good at gauging. 50 characters is the max length for these particular codes. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Save Changes. And we'll load the data. Okay, we've got 597 rows. So now we're really ready to go back out and use the data. So let's go into our SQL commands. Now the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and grab this query here and make sure our table is loaded correctly. So we want to see how many records are there where where it's not null, right? Where the program account priority is not null. So we have 505 records to work with. It should be our final count there. And then just one more query to give you an idea before we dive into the code here of what's going on. So you can see, our table did load correctly. We can see the different counts by priority level for the filter we need to build. So the real question is how do we build a filter? All right, so I've got some sample code here. This is if you've been programming PL SQL for a long time, you might be like, oh man, I could do it way more efficient. But if you're a newbie, picking up Apex for the first time, trying to knock this out, this isn't bad. So let's look at this code real quick before we run it. So what we're going to do is we're going to declare a CLOB value. We're going to go ahead and then create 4 cursors. Each cursor is essentially a query that's going to pull out the ID that we need for a filter, and then we're going to query it based on the priority level in the other column. We'll go down here, we'll open up our CLOB, and we'll start building the CLOB dynamically using the cursor. So essentially the cursor is going to loop through. It's going to fetch in the value we need into the calculation and then add a comma at the end. That's what this little block here, and this is for P1, so we'll repeat that for each of these. And then when we get to the end, before we go to the second loop through the level 2 priority accounts, what we're going to do here is actually add the end of the statement in, okay, and continue down. Now you will see in several cases when we add the end in, we actually trim the last 2 characters. And this is simply put, the reason we're trimming with this code right here is because it'll add a comma in after each one. And if we look at our core code that we want as the output, the last value, right, it can't have a comma at the end or it'll fail. So that's what that trim is. So we actually repeat that for level 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we're going to spit this out at the very end here so that we can copy and paste it wherever we need to in our code base. So let's go ahead and run it. All right, here's a code, right, so we can copy it. Now the cool thing is like, man, tomorrow they're going to give me a new list, or the next day they're going to give me a new list. I'm going to have to keep, in some ways, updating this as the business shifts or changes. That happens. So the cool thing you can do in Apex is hit save here. Let's just go ahead and save this as our DB. There, go ahead and hit save. Now I can go back at any point in time. Let me just go ahead and clear the command. I can go down here to Save SQL, double click here, and I can just run it at any time. And the same thing goes actually for the data load wizard. So at any point in time, when you do get new data in, you can actually add it you can choose to merge it, or you can real quickly in the SQL Workshop delete the rows of the table and reload fresh from the beginning from the CSV. So quick look at something you can do. Might save you some time when you have to do these kind of manual manipulations or code generation.